Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Samurai Brothers, episode 59 of our podcast. And Matthew, kind of on a bit of a break. I don't think there was a new chapter of One Piece this week, right? Because
There was
apparently,
not. It
apparently
was
Oda had to take another break.
it was a 2-week break, and well, at least it was 2 weeks, and we actually knew the time frame. So
Yeah. So we'll see what's going to happen this time. But so while we're doing that, actually, so. We'll talk about because the Banzuke, the Sumo Banzuke for the November tournament, the Kyushu Basho, will be releasing 1 week from today, roughly around I believe it's going to be 6 a.m. on Monday the 27th, Japan time, which will be about 2 p.m. West Coast time here, or 5 p.m. East Coast time. So the deadline for the Guess the Banzuke sumo game is actually going to be tomorrow. Tomorrow morning, I think, on Monday, the 20th of October. So we've already got our guesses in. So, Matthew, you and I will be talking about that mainly today. Maybe touch up on the London Koen Basho that they have. Maybe talk about some One Piece, and then yesterday was the North and South Duels tournament for 3C2A wrestling, and I might want to touch upon that at the very end of this episode because we have a lot to see from that. Anyway, so let's get right into it, Matthew. You and I have both made our guesses. Obviously, the last Basho, Ono Sato and Hoshoryu gave the audience quite a show at the end of the day 15. Ono Sato was going into the day 15 with a 13-1 record. Hoshoryu was chasing him at 12-2. Hoshoryu did win the regulation match, but Ono Sato triumphed in the playoffs. So, with that being said, Ono Sato will maintain his Yokozuna 1 East slot, while Hoshoryu will remain the Yokozuna Ozeki for the Kyushu Basho. And then we have Kotozakura, who pulled out on day 14. He'll be the Ozeki. But then we get into, okay, where's everyone going to fit from the Sekiwake ranks and below?
well, and I would assume that because he has the record, Kotozakura would be the East.
Yes, there's only the East Ozeki. It doesn't matter at that point.
If he's Kato, it doesn't matter if he's Katoban.
Doesn't even matter if he's Katoban. So
Okay.
in the event that he were to drop somehow, then both Onosato and Hoshoryu would be Yokozuna Ozeki, because the policy dictates that there has to be 2 Ozeki on the Banzuke at any given time. So, which is always an interesting thing. Well, Matt, so let's get right into it. We've got Guess the Banzuke. We both got our entries in. So I think going into the Sekiwake slots, so I think you and I can both agree that Aonishiki, without a doubt, is getting that East Sekiwake slot. Again, this guy continues to impress, with his technical skills, just his fighting spirit and all, his know-how. In fact, he was at a conference, I can't remember where at, but he did actually come out and say that his goal is to make Yokozuna, and he could become the first European Yokozuna, barring anything that happens. What say you on that?
He definitely, obviously needs to actually win some tournaments, but he's there's the past 2 Basho, he's been in contention to a point, and we both know how sumo goes. It's that in order to win a Basho, the sequence of right events has to go, and Aonishiki has everyone he's gone against. Wait a minute, has he beaten everyone? No, he hasn't beaten everyone he's gone against. But
At some point in some time, he's beaten everyone. Just not in the same Basho, but over time, he has gotten wins against everyone, I think.
He lost to Kusano though.
Yes, but I'm talking about the top rankers. Over time, he's managed to get wins against everyone, is what I'm saying.
With the exception of Onosato.
Okay. Yes, you're probably right on that. The other thing about him is that he has, ever since being a Sekitore, he's never scored less than 10 wins. So,
Yeah, so it's he's definitely going to make Ozeki bar an injury, which we see how injuries have affected Takeru Fuji. But also Takeru Fuji hasn't gotten to where Aonishiki is. Takeru Fuji hasn't even made Sanyaku.
Yes, you're right.
Yeah, whereas Aonishiki just kept going up. It's like consistently going up, 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 up.
Yes.
His rise reminds me of Onosato.
And yes, you are right. He has not defeated Onosato yet.
Yeah, but his rise does remind me of Onosato because Onosato also had never. Let's see. What as a Ozeki, did he have less than 10 wins?
In Onosato's case, I think he has not had less than 10 wins once he got up to that rank.
I don't even think that even
he does have he actually, well, no, actually I take that back. He's had 2 9-6 records, one at Sekiwake, and in his Ozeki debut Basho, he did have a 9-6.
Yeah, but going up, he was always double digits.
Always consistent double digits. Yes. Anyway,
which Aonishiki, well, I mean, but then there's the difference of Aonishiki. His first every tournament, he's had a winning record against the Sanyaku, including against one of the Yokozuna.
Yeah, he's 2-0 against Hoshoryu.
Yeah, so Hoshoryu at some point is gonna get his win back, but his first 2 outings against Aonishiki, it wasn't to be.
Yeah,
he will get it, but basically Aonishiki has been making a statement every single time he's gone out there. It's that I'm on my way up, I'm hungry, I want to win. And yeah, I agree. He definitely is likely to be the first European Yokozuna. It's just a matter of time.
Yeah. So with that being,
he's already set him up for if he wins like
so
what was his record last Basho?
So he went 11-4 as a Komusubi, and so far, what they've said about like when Wakataga Kage was trying to make his run is that, hey, the run starts in Sanyaku. So that means Aonishiki's got 11 wins. He's got 22 more to go over the next 2 Basho in Sanyaku.
So he just needs to win 11-11 or
11-11 would definitely get him up there without a doubt. So
or something better with a Basho win.
Yeah. So let me see here. So with that being said, now I believe that the West Sekiwake slot is going to go to Oho at 10-5. I think that's hard to deny.
I agree with you there.
Yeah. So
because the reality is neither Sekiwake performed. They had more than one loss. More than one. They were more than 7 and 8.
Yes, they both ended up with 6-0 records, so they're dropping. So
yeah.
So now here's where I think you and I are going to disagree on with the Komusubi slots. So
that is going to be interesting.
I believe that the Takanosho, who really gave, he also gave, he put out a spectacular performance. He finished 12-3. He almost made it to the playoff. And he got the Kanto Show fighting spirit. He finished 12-3 at M7. I believe he is going to be the East Komusubi.
And that's where we agree. I don't even have him in Sanyaku.
What do you mean? Well, Sanyaku is both Sekiwake and Komusubi. But you have him as East Komusubi?
No, I don't have him in the Sanyaku.
Oh, so you disagree with me?
Yeah, I disagree. I think
okay, because you said you agreed with me.
I think Hakuoho is going to be the East Komusubi.
Okay, so I think Hakuoho is going to be the West Komusubi. So who do you have as the East Komusubi? Or I'm sorry, as the West Komusubi?
This is going to be controversial. I think it's going to be Watataka Kage.
Okay. That's interesting. Okay. That's interesting. I mean, based on, the precedent that the Kyokai set before. Okay.
I think that based off the fact that he was the East, and then also that I'll be honest, I don't think anyone else did well enough to breach it. I know that Takanosho did very well, but he was
You think he's going to be M1?
Yeah, I think he's going to be M1 East.
Okay. So let's get right into it then. So my predictions for M1 as a whole.
Oh,
Takayasu.
Wait. So Komusubi for you is Takanosho, East,
and Hakuoho.
West is Hakuoho. Okay, so
M1. So yeah, see, this is where the fun begins. Okay, so M1, I have Takayasu at East and Wakamoto Haru on the West, based on that, he finished 9-6 at M4.
So we agree on where Wakamoto Haru is. Like I said, I think Takanosho is going to be the M1. I think Takayasu is going to be the M2 East.
Okay, you're really throwing him down there then. But
yeah.
That man, I think that probably has happened before, where 7 and 8 gets relegated 2 slots instead of the normal 1. So okay, I see where you're going with that.
He had 3 losses.
Who?
Takayasu, or he was like 6 and he
went 7 and 8. He went 7 and 8. So what? We'll see. I
think he was given a grace period. I don't think it's gonna. I think it's gonna kind of catch up with him.
So okay, M2. So what I'm predicting is that both the Sekiwake are just going to be, right next to each other at M2 based on the records. So your thoughts on M2?
Do you think Kirishima is East or West?
The Wakataka Kage was East Sekiwake, Kirishima is West Sekiwake. So I think they're just going to fall in place. They're just going to both shift down to M2. That's my prediction.
So we've got Kirishima in the same spot.
But then you put Takayasu M2 East, right?
Right. So
okay. So then we've got M3. Hiradoumi finished 8 and 7 at M4. I have him at M3 East. And then I think Tamawashi, who went 6 and 9 at M1E, will be the West M3.
So I did place Hiradoumi on M3. I just think he's going to be the West.
Okay, and your prediction for the East?
Ura.
Okay. Ura.
Tamawashi is going to be my prediction is Tamawashi is the East M4.
Okay, so kind of a switch there. So yeah, I have Ura at M4 East, and then M4 West, I have Oshoma.
Oh, we guessed correctly.
Okay.
Or no, we guessed the same. So we're both guessing.
I'm gonna mark
guessing more the West consistently than the East consistently.
I'm gonna mark who we're getting the same as. So let me see here. So yeah, Aonishiki Oho, and then we agreed on Wakamoto Haru and Kirishima, and then we agreed on Oshoma. Okay. So with that being said, all right. So now down to M5. So M5, I've got Kusano on the east and Shodai on the west.
I've gone flipped.
Okay. So we have them at both ranks. You have them flipped. All right. M6. I'm putting Chura no Umi who went 9-6 in M10. And then I'm putting Atami Fuji at M6. He's getting a little bit of a buffer, I think.
I put Atami Fuji as the East.
Okay.
Chida Naomi I put as M7, and I put Onokatsu at M6 West.
Okay, so that's then where we're gonna flip. Okay, so my M7 predictions: Onokatsu on the east, and I put Abi at the west.
Oh, I'll be on the West too.
Because I think because of there's kind of a lack of like strong people further down the line. So I think because he was at M1, even with that 3-12 record, I think he's the beneficiary of some Banzuke luck. So we're both thinking the same thing here.
Yeah, the if you looked at the Banzuke, half of the guys
it looks
were
horrible.
Makekoshi.
It looks horrible.
Yeah, I was just like, oh my gosh, it's like you guys are supposed to be the best of the best, and half of you guys are going Makekoshi.
Okay, so now here's where it's gonna get really convoluted. So, I kind of went bold on this one, and we'll see if you and I are thinking the same thing. M8, I put Shishi at M8 East. I know that's a big jump. I put Kimbozan. I'm keeping him right where he's at, even though he finished 7 and 8, because they have had a tendency to do this, where even if people finish 7 and 8, they don't move. That has happened, and quite a lot recently. So,
Oh, you and I are in disagreement for M8.
all right, well let's see what you have.
For the East, I have Koto Shoho, and for the West, I have Ichi Yamamoto.
That's a very bold. We could both be wrong. I would not be surprised by any of that. That's pretty up. That's pretty up there. That's interesting.
I put Kinbozan at M9.
Okay, so here's
he'll drop, just not
so
that
my
far.
so M9. I've got Midori Fuji on the east, and then I've got Tobizaru on the west.
So I do have Midori Fuji at M9, but it's the west.
With Kimbozan on the east. Okay.
Right. Tobizaru is the rank below. Was my prediction.
Okay. M10. I have Daisho on the east. I think he's gonna stay right where he was at. I have Tomokaze on the west.
So I do have Daisho at M10, but it's the east.
Yeah. And then for the east, who do you have?
Tobizaru.
Okay, so we do. So actually, I think we're flipped then, right? Is that right? Oh no, sorry.
I thought you were predicting Tobizaru was going to be
M9. Yeah, you're right. Okay. M11. I have Fujinokawa east and Roga on the west.
So I do have Fujinokawa at M11, but it's the west. Tomokaze, I believe, is east.
Okay. M12. I have Ryuden and then Mitakeumi.
I do have Ryuden at M12 east, but Doga I'm predicting is the west.
Okay, and then let's see, M13. So see, I went kind of, I thought it was the performances. So I put Ichi Yamamoto, M13 East, and Toki Hayate at M14 West or M13 West.
So this is where I think Shishi's gonna be. I put him as M13 East, and I put Gonoyama as M13 West.
Mm-hmm. Okay. M14, this is where I think that Koto Shoho will fall along with Gonoyama. So, and then for you?
My prediction is Mitake Umi will be M14 East and Toki Hayate will be M14 West.
Okay. So M15, I have Nishiki Fuji, who had a pretty stellar basho down in the Juryo. I think he'll be the East, and Shona Naomi will stay where he's at on the West.
So, I do think Nishiki Fuji will be M15, but I think he'll be the West.
Hmm.
I
And
think
for the
Oshomi will be the East.
okay, so you're putting both those guys from Jurio at M15.
Right.
Okay, M16. I've got Sadanomi and Asakoryu. They finished 6-9 at M14. I think they'll just both slide right down to that 16th slot.
I predicted that both of those guys are going to be one slot lower.
Okay, so who do you have at M16?
Shio Shoma, who did have a good Jurio Basho, and Shona Naomi.
Oh, okay. M17, that's where I put Oshomi, and then I put Meisei at West.
I think Mesa is going to drop out drop to Jurio.
Which is why you put Chiyoshoma up there.
Right.
Okay. So who do you have at M17 then?
Like I said, Sadanomi and Asakoryu.
Oh, yes, that's right. The 18th slot, I believe will be Hitoshi. I think he's gonna have that same benefit as Shishi did.
We guessed correctly we guessed together consistently at the top, and then we guessed consistently in the middle, and then at the bottom.
So far it looks like we have 11 slots that we agreed on. So hey, maybe we'll get them all right. I'm of the utmost confidence that we'll have those Sekiwaka slots correct. Obviously.
Yeah, but Dad does not think Oho is gonna be. He does think Oho will make Sanyaku, but he doesn't think Oho will skip Komosubi.
I think maybe for January we ought to get him to. You could what you could always do is you could always get his predictions, and then you could just enter in, using his email address, because all you need is a Shikona and an email address. So maybe we could have him join in on that. That would be really fun. It's like all three of us.
Yeah. Oh, speaking of sumo, so I don't know if we've talked about it on this
Podcast.
this podcast, but Sequoia Sumo entered in with a strategic partnership with Ochoa Combat to start doing consistent classes for Ochoa Combat in sumo.
Nice.
And we're starting slow, but hopefully we'll improve. We'll get some of those people in there.
Very good. Good to know. So also, just to kind of get this out to everyone. So, sumo is having their London tournament, and I know that actually the current chairman Hakaku has been I think when he was active, he participated in the previous London Koen, and I think that's why. And he's a big fan of British culture and all that, which is I think why, as the timing was appropriate, he really pushed for having this London tournament.
Well, Britain had a significant effect on Japan's modernization, because unlike the portrayal in The Last Samurai, it was mostly European advisors that helped modernize Japan, and Britain was a big part of that. The diet is modeled after British Parliament, right?
I believe so, yes.
Yeah, with the exception of I think originally it was more so, but after World War II, that was when the emperor's role was removed. I don't think the emperor really did a whole lot in Parliament, anyways. It was modeled after Parliament, with the exception of the role of the emperor. And they also, when they modernized, the imperial court and the select number of the upper daimyo were transitioned into kind of a peer system that was modeled after the British
Yes.
system, which
Yeah.
that system was also abolished after World War II. So
Yeah.
there's been this link, even though it was, you know, clearly adversarial during you know, during World War II. There's been this link between Japan and the UK
Uh-huh.
you know, since for a good while. So,
Uh-huh.
but as I recall, that first it was in the 80s, or it was it in the 80s or the 90s that tour happened. That first one.
I think it probably would have been in the 90s because it's been like
I remember that one of the things they did in order to make people remember who they were, because the names are, you know, Japanese names are a little bit more complicated for English to memorize, is they gave him nicknames, and Konishiki's was the dump truck. That's how he earned. But as I recall, that nickname wasn't a big nickname. It was a nickname, but you know.
right. Okay. Yeah. So we'll see how it's going. I mean, I've heard about how the streaming hasn't been great. And then I've been reading online on the sumo forums. A lot of people, Matthew, complaining about your boy Hiro. Uh what's his name? I think it was Hiro Morita or something, like, the guy that you your favorite NHK World announcer, really ragging on him about his pronunciations and all that stuff.
Here's, you know, I don't know if I mentioned this, but with Hito, I don't think he's actually Japanese, right?
Yes, he's Japanese.
So therein lies the problem, is that he literally translates things, and his humor is more along the Japanese line. But let's be honest, as bilingual Japanese people, we know that translations and cultural references don't translate in the West.
Yes.
And Hito's had those issues more than anyone else.
Hmm.
It's you know, the other guys who have more of an awareness of the cultural, you know, shift that makes them better commentators. But something else, so I've been reading more of the sumo Reddit subreddit, and some people were noticing that they weren't going as hard, or they were doing some other techniques that maybe they wouldn't normally do. Like, they're saying that they noticed that Onosato was like doing more throws and stuff like that. And basically, what I and other people were commenting on those threads was that this is an exhibition tournament.
It is.
That's all it is. It means nothing. The win losses don't mean anything.
They don't.
They the
Which means that there's really no reason for them to go all out,
they're not going
because
all out. That's what
right. They
that's
might
what
they might go get really serious when it comes to the, like, semifinals or something, because I think there is prize money, but it's not as much as, you would be in the regular Basho
yeah, the way that I compared it is that it's like MLB spring training, or
yeah,
it's like
or the NFL preseason.
right, the NFL these don't mean anything. It's just for the guys to, you know, maybe work on some of their techniques and stuff
Like,
like that.
I was reading up because I was talking to a coworker who asked me about winless seasons in the NFL. And I think the most recent winless season was the Cleveland Browns in 2017, where they went 0-16. But I read a footnote that said that they went 4-0 in the preseason. So that means that the other teams were not playing hard.
Either that, or they weren't even playing their starters. That's another thing
Yeah.
about the preseason, is that I think that's another thing for the preseason is it's almost a tryout for these guys who are like bench warmers or, just got drafted in and they're trying to figure out where to put them and stuff like that. But yeah,
Yep.
it's what, yeah, the fact of the matter is these don't matter. Do you
Yep.
get more money if you win? Yes, but they don't matter.
Yep. They don't matter.
It's extra money. It fills butts and seats, and it's for people to. It's like the pro wrestling house shows, which nowadays,
Yep.
which again nowadays you rarely see anything. The champions are always going to come out with their titles, and I mean, in pro wrestling they don't really keep. Oh, I don't think they keep official records of like win losses or stuff like
No,
that.
they don't.
Yeah, but it's just one of those things where again it doesn't matter. It was nice that Ura did the
Yeah, what was it?
I call it a modified fireman's.
Yeah.
Which I did try to do at that one at the second.
Yeah, you did. Well, let me.
Well, what I was trying to do is I was trying to do with that guy. I was trying to do a full fireman's or a duck under or something like that. And I remember I was supposed to go against that guy this year, and he no showed.
Mm-hmm.
It's like he weighed in. They checked him in, which I think that's just because they were, he was a whole new guy, and as they checked him in, I hadn't seen him all day, and I was just getting ready to go, and then they're like, "What's his name?" to the, and we just stood around for a minute, and they said, "Okay, you get Fusen."
Well, yesterday was the North and South state duel for tournaments for 3C2A wrestling. And let me see here. So, yeah, we've got about 5 minutes, so we're going to close on this subject. Matthew, for the 5th consecutive year, the North will be represented by, it's going to be the 5th consecutive year of the matchup between Fresno City College from the north and Mount San Antonio College from the south. And Mount Sac, it was interesting because last Wednesday, Mount Sac and what's essentially number 2 Cerritos had a duel. And it was actually a close duel. It ended up being 21-13 in favor of Mount Sac. And apparently a couple of their starters were defeated by Cerritos that are highly up on in the rankings. However, in the finals duel for the South, which was again between number 1 Mount Sac and Cerritos, Mount Sac came out with the full armament, guns blazing, and just spanking Cerritos, with the final score being 38-2. Which means that Cerritos got a team point taken away somehow. So interesting how that is. Again, and of course, Fresno obviously doing what Fresno's doing. Theirs was a little bit closer. I think I was looking at the brackets; it was 32-12. But
who'd they go against in the final?
Sacramento City. So it's always consistently for the last several years, it's been Fresno City number 1 in the north and Sacramento City number 2, and then in the south, it's been Mount Sac and then Cerritos.
What is it that makes Sac City so good? Because I don't recall them having good high schools up there.
Yeah, I'm not sure, but they somehow get people, and they won the state title back in I think 2014. So, they're
that
around.
Was a decade ago.
Yeah, but they consistently finish top 5 and such. So somehow they do it. I don't know how, but I think it's just this thing of Mount Sac just keeps rolling, and they keep rolling. They've
Has
won.
Mount Sac won the state championship?
ever since we got out of COVID, because the 2020 season was canceled, but then 2021, Mount Sac was the one who won the state title that following year. Fresno won in 2022, but then 23 and 24 have been Mount Sac. And obviously, then we have the state dual championship kind of gives us an idea of who is going to win the title, in a way.
So Mount Sac has legitimately challenged Fresno State's supremacy in the.
Yeah, I mean they've won the last 3 out of the 4. Fresno's still around. Fresno, anytime Mount Sac has won, it's been Fresno second.
Yeah, because Keesaw's there, and as we've talked before, he's got the prime pickings for
that area.
Yeah, that area.
But Mount Sac, they've got all of SoCal and who knows what else they have. But yeah, so it'll be they'll be wrestling each other. I believe
Mount Sac also has that inland empire area, and
actually,
there are some good schools out there.
Actually, here's the funny thing. So in the 3C2A, the lines, there are no recruiting lines anymore. You can go wherever. It used to be that you were limited to your surrounding area.
Unless someone reached out.
Right, unless someone reached out. But now there's no lines, meaning that if Mount Sac wants to recruit from Orange County, they're free to do so. And that's where they do get some of the Cerritos. They get a lot of their people are from OC.
Well, Mount Sac is kind of right near there.
Yes, it is. It's kind of like right on the, because it's in Walnut, so it's kind of on that border.
Yeah, so they can pick. I don't know where they get most of their Orange County guys from, but I would expect that getting from a bunch of those upper schools where there's some good schools like El Dorado, like Steve Lawson hasn't lost his touch yet.
Well, with that being said, so
I just realized Steve Lawson has to be getting old.
Yeah, I would think so. Well, with that being said, we'll have to close out now because it is time for us to depart. But again, thank you to everyone for watching, and hopefully we'll get in a One Piece chapter soon. But we'll probably be talking sumo next week. So with that being said, thank you as always.
Oh, I'd like to say one thing. I am looking to compete in a submission grappling tournament in December. So I'll see how that goes.
All right. With that being said, thank you as always, everyone. We'll see you next time.